Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, guys, I wanted you guys to know what this really is and what God showed me this was almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago to be exact. But what this is it's a test of your faith, it's a testament of your faith. I put an article in there and it actually stunned me. My wife saw it last night before we went to bed, and her film is actually number one for the fall schedule. Like basically things that they're recommending in that film, number one over even the King, the Woman King movie, which is not even anything that we asked for. And it's not about who's the best and what's the best and any of that stuff. It's about who's in divine alignment with God. And that's the question I want to ask you. Are you in divine alignment? You can make many choices in your life. You can take no risk whatsoever. You can take very few risks. You can ride this one out. You can sit this one out. You can go back to your bed and lay down. You can watch your favorite movie. You can go on Netflix and try to find something that will make you feel like what's going on in society isn't really happening. But none of those things would really suffice for the moment that we're in. I woke up this morning and I was thinking about the souls that have lost the battles to COVID 19 and those that have struggled with COVID 19, including our own beloved Dr. Stan. Blessed to be here, blessed to be breathing. I think about how, some of us never got it, right? Maybe we got a little bit of it and shook it off, right? But I'm wondering where your level of appreciation to God is at this very moment. Because this wasn't a game. This wasn't a gimmick. This was real life. Millions of people lost their lives to this challenge and to this battle. And many families were cleared out. And I know you probably saw it on the news just like I did at the beginning of COVID, right? And where's the gratitude to God? Where's the thankfulness to God in this moment that we're here? And I use these moments, guys, just to be honest with you, the energy I put in, if I'm just being uniquely, humbly honest, I put that energy in as though I was going to catch COVID and possibly die. Who knew, right? But how did I want to go out? Did I want to go out as someone who just kind of went from moment to moment and just took what happened to them? Or did I want to be a person who took on the challenge of being something more, doing something more, being aggressive at the end of my journey? Because I know God has challenged me to do some things, right? Challenged me to help some people along the way, challenged me to show some things to some folks, right? Because he didn't just give us what we have. And when I say that, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about courage. He didn't just give us the courage that we have to fight and battle through and get through some really, really, really tough moments for Erica and I to sit by the beach, chill out, and do nothing and say nothing, right? She didn't have to do the movie. It wasn't something she had to do. I remember her fighting with that script. She did that script about 5 years ago. The script was denied multiple times throughout Hollywood. Denied. Not used. As a matter of fact, some folks have seen it all around Hollywood behind the scenes. And that's how the enemy keeps you hidden, right? They deny you. They hide your work. You haven't done anything. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are, right? That's what the enemy does. But instead of my wife saying, you know what? I think I'll pack it in, Brian, because they said not yet. She chose herself. She took a couple of days. She was frustrated. But she chose herself. And she came to me and she said, do you think this would be wise for me to do? Because this is partly your retirement too. And I said, sweetheart, it wouldn't be wise for you not to do it. And the reason I told her that was whether we lost every single dime and it never went to a streaming service or nothing great ever happened with it, she will have produced it. She will have done it. It was a vision that God gave her, and she completed the work. And that's really what it's about. And I know a lot of people, they don't really subscribe to that because they really want to hear that everything's going to go just like you want it, right? Let me ask you a question, and I don't care how old you are. When is the last thing anything went exactly like you thought it would? That gives reason for a pause, right? Because we all realized that we had to make adjustments along the way in life to get to where we are. We had to believe in ourselves even when no one else would believe in us, right? We had to do all these things just to get to this point. Why would God equip you that way is my real question. He did it because he has something great for you to do. And the challenge is, will you take my hand and do it? That's the challenge. And I don't really care really if you do what I do. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to be an example to you of what you should do, that you should execute, that you should move forward, that you should do something, right? You should get the wheels in your mind going. That's what kills me when I hear someone say, I don't really like talking to other people. I'm like, are you serious? You could have died. Point blank, you could have died 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and God allowed you to breathe. Why? That's the reason I'm here. Answer that question. Why did he allow you to breathe? And what is your purpose going forward with that air that you breathe? So I was sitting here and I wrote it and I put it in the room, and much of what I put in the room are glimpses of thoughts that I may have, or reflections that I may have, right? And this morning felt eerily similar to something that I've experienced before in my past. And what it felt like was 2008, when nothing was going right. I knew I was going to lose my position or my role. Imagine working for a manufacturer and you know that manufacturer, that car manufacturer, is going away. That's not fun. And I said I can either sit still and do nothing, or I could reinvent myself. And I chose to reinvent myself. Now, many of my friends went on and took other jobs and promotions and other things, and God bless them. They're still there. That they're doing it. Not that they're not feeding their families. That's not what I'm talking about, right? We're not talking about the difference between feeding your family. We're talking about the difference between doing what you were really meant to do before you leave this earth. That's what we're talking about. And if you've asked that question and you know the answer, that you haven't done it yet, then my goal is to get you moving in the right direction to go get some of that work done. That's what you're here for. So this moment felt eerily similar, and Nanette Polito put out, because she lives in Hebron, Kentucky, she put out the information that she found online, Cincinnati Inquirer, and it was talking about the top 10 communities outside of major metropolitan cities to live in. And within the top 10 were 3 from northern Kentucky. It talked about Fort Wright, right? It talked about Hebron, right? Well, Hebron was backed up to Union, wasn't too far from Union and Burlington, where I lived, where my wife and I had the faith enough to move to, where we met the gentleman, Gus Wade, who built us a home from the ground without running our credit. I'm just telling you what happened, guys. It was a 4-bedroom home. We rented it from him, but it was actually a lease option if we wanted it to be, which was the most amazing thing. And he was willing to give us a private mortgage, all what we needed at that moment, right? But what did we do to even get to that moment? We sacrificed. We purchased a vehicle for my in-laws. You see that law of reciprocity? We did for someone else, and then someone else, even in a greater position, thought to do something for us. But the main thing was this: we moved our friend in, and this was the greatest sacrifice, guys. No new money was coming in. I mean, it was just, we were just tight when our kids are going to college, and it was just tight. And I felt it. My wife told me, we gotta help our friend move here. And we moved her into a place in Hebron, Kentucky called Sanctuary Place, because it was really just down the street. And we used to do so much work in that area, and we met so many great people in that area. We networked so tremendously in that area. And to be frank, that place became home really, really quickly. And it was really a hard place to leave when it was all said and done. But God challenged us to move one more time 7 years ago, right? It was just 7 years ago, guys. 7 years ago this month, I'm sitting outside my home And I'm asking God, give me a good reason why I should do it again. You keep telling me to jump, but why again? I'm going to make an additional $200,000 this year on this job in Mercedes-Benz of Fort Mitchell, which, by the way, is by Fort Wright. It's Fort Mitchell and Fort Wright. And I'm like, why? I mean, it seems like you put me in the golden spot, and that's the challenge many of you have, because you'll do something, one thing, and you'll think to yourself, "Oh, this is it. This is the golden spot." No, it's not. It's not the golden spot. It's the golden beginning. And you have to open up your mind and your heart to see if there are any more things that you should be doing. This isn't the season to sit still on one opportunity and think to yourself, "I've got the goose that laid the golden egg." Guys, I'm telling you, that can disappear overnight, and you've seen it disappear with multiple companies overnight. Not to scare you, but it's the truth. That's why you want to spread your opportunities around and diversify and think differently, think bigger, so that you're buffered in a buffer zone. That's why investment companies do that. That's why they take your money and they invest it for you, because you don't have the courage to do what they're about to do. That's the truth, okay? But this moment feels eerily similar, because when we moved, we had none of the answers already mapped out. My wife and I did. We just had to trust that this was what God wanted us to do. And we felt like, man, we had hit the jackpot, because we moved to an area that was so prosperous and was doing so well and was so interconnected. It was only about 600,000 people in that area, but boy, they were really going and getting it. Matter of fact, we had the best BNI group in the area, even over Cincinnati. I mean, it was just amazing, all the things. But you know what? Cincinnati Airport was right there in Hebron, Kentucky too. And that's really the flow of logistics. And that's how I want you guys to start thinking. Start thinking logistically. Where do you live? When you leverage with someone like myself, who just happens to live in Las Vegas, Nevada, did you have any connections in Las Vegas, Nevada before you met me? Yes or no? Okay. And it's the same thing. It's the same way I feel when I'm talking to Bishop Bennett in Ghana, right? Did I have any connections in Ghana before I met him? Exactly. What about Jimmy Katuda? Did I have any connections over in 42 different countries in Africa before I reached out, stepped out on faith, and met him? I didn't do anything that none of you could not do. Any one of you could have literally done the exact same thing. And when I say that I'm looking for those warriors, and I say that I'm looking for those builders, and I say I'm looking for those additional 3 people, because I've got 3 more sponsorships left for Business Networking International, that's what I'm talking about. I realize that you can get in front of some folks that I can't get in front of, and that's all leverage really is. It's me taking my hand and my opportunity and opening it up to you, and you opening up your opportunities to me. And you got to learn how to start trusting, guys, and sharing. You're going to, right? You're going to need it. I also put in there about the economy. And one of the economists, because I know many people probably didn't even read it, but he spoke about, major economists, by the way, about the predictors leading us to what he compared to the fall of the Roman Empire, the fall of Rome. So you can say, oh, well, we lived through September 11th. Oh, well, we lived through the 80s. Oh, well, we lived through the mortgage crisis. My question is, did you live through something that was similar to the fall of Rome? Yes or no? I don't think you did. And that's why God told me to come out and help people. It wasn't because I needed it. Obviously, I don't. It was because you do. And as long as you are in trouble, even if you don't realize you're in trouble, God will always send a prophetic man and woman of God to come get you. That's right. I don't get paid to preach. That's not something I've done in years, since I was 25. But what I will do is enlighten anyone I possibly can. Go to the prison, go to the homeless shelter, go wherever I'm needed to speak a word to my brothers and sisters. Because really, the kingdom suffers violence, and it's time for the violent to take it by force. And you, my friend, are needed on the battleground to take it by force effectively. As you can see, whether you do what I ask you to do or not, it's not going to affect my bank account one way or another. It's going to affect yours. And my question is, do you want your bank account impacted? I placed in there what I basically said to my wife back when we moved from Louisville, Kentucky to Union. We moved from a 3-bedroom townhouse to a 4-bedroom home built from the ground by a man. Had we not stepped out on faith and met and gave him the $2,000, we would have known that he was never going to run our credit in the first place, never had any intention of running our credit. And guess what, guys? My credit was actually bad at that time because I'd gone through all those things I talked about, those repossessions and all those different things. And to be frank with you, I was at the point of just paying cash for stuff until I paid all my debt off. That's kind of how I was living. I was living within that comfortable space. We were doing things, but I wasn't caring how I looked on the outside or to anyone else. That's why I make this plea to you. I am no different than you. There is really not a whole lot that you're going through that I ain't went through. And trust me, we all went through COVID together because we all dealt with the impact of COVID together. And we're about to deal with the impact of this economy together. My question to you is, how do you want to live when that moment happens? Do you want to live in silence by yourself? Or do you want to be able to pick up the phone and leverage with your brother and sister? I'm just showing you the way to leverage in the most healthy way, not a way that's more conducive of Brian making all the money, not a way that's conducive of you making all the money if you don't participate, but in a way that requires your brother and sister. Trust me, that's far greater to me than even the money, which is why I present things to you. Yes, we do have some things you don't need. You don't need to leverage. You don't need to do certain things, right? But don't depend on those things. Tell your brother and sister, warn them of what's going on. This is a chance to educate your children. Don't act like they don't need the education, because trust me, guys, getting money in your hand doesn't solve every problem. It doesn't. I'm sorry. Let me wake you up on that one, unfortunately. Been there, done that, right? First year of getting money, if you haven't had money before, is the most fearful year you'll ever have in your life, in your existence, especially if you're unprepared or under-prepared for what it even looks like to have money. So the first thing I need you to do, I don't care what you're invested in. I pray to God every single one of them does great. I really do. But I pray to God you understand money before you get money. Because if you don't understand money before you get money, you will lose money. And my goal was to come in here, be like a big brother, and show you the way all the way through. Give you my version, not necessarily financial advice at all, but to point you to a financial person and to let you know when it's time to do so. So it's greater than the gains that you see on a piece of paper. If you're in Novatech and you pull your money out, just know that you will be taxed on that money. Because the way it works with Bitcoin is you're not going to be taxed as long as it's inside the incubator, but when you pull it out, man, you will be taxed on that as income. Okay, so these are things you need to really pay attention to. So seek out a tax advisor. All right. Now, here we are with Two Can Win. Another great opportunity, guys. My wife and I were going back to New York City for the first time since COVID, right? And as we're even here at the beach, this is the first time we've actually taken a trip outside of Las Vegas, and the place has been at full capacity. And so things are starting to bounce back as far as people's confidence a little bit, right? But it doesn't mean that the disease is gone. It doesn't mean that those things aren't still around. So we still need to be prayerful and wise and mindful of our brothers and sisters, right? But at the end of the day, there are some unique opportunities, and I believe Two Can Win is one of them. I know for a fact that Numi is one of them. You got two opportunities, guys, with only about, 14 months between them. That's how new they are. And that was my goal with Diamond VIP, to bring you the best of the best. I mean, really, even Novatech is only a few years old. It's not that long ago. I think it was 2019 when it began. But the money is there, right? But you got to take advantage of it. You got to invest. You got to compound. If you're doing Novatech, if you come in Two Can Win, the beauty of it is you can sign up as many of your friends as you possibly want to for free. And let me just be honest with you. Something that was told to me years ago by a gentleman in Excel Communications. He said, it's always the dud sometimes that brings the stud. And I think that's the most amazing thing, because it's really true. Some of you are looking for the easy way out, but sometimes the best way is to find somebody that can see things a little differently than you. because they can see through the things that you can't see through. And they're not scared to go talk to people. They're not scared to go do what you're scared to do. But something I want you to think about when it comes to Two Can Win, Two Can Win is offering you the opportunity to actually participate and make a purchase. If I came to you and I said, hey, Joey, hey, I'm gonna give you a chance to get a Cadillac Escalade for $10,000, as low as $10,000, almost $100,000 car, in some cases is over $100,000 car, for $10,000, what would your response be? No, I don't want that Cadillac Escalade. Right. No, that's not going to be your response. And so therefore, what Two Can Win is doing is it's tapping into the retail space, which is a major player in everything. Some people call it retail therapy, guys. If you're not sending your link out to those folks, I don't know what's wrong with you. I really don't. Because this is passive. It is passive to a degree because it's affiliates. That's all we are, is just affiliates. You're just offering them the opportunity, just like you could offer the opportunity for somebody to buy Huggies Pampers through your link on social media if you had one. That's all really Two Can Win is. But you get a chance to build it. You get a chance to build a team. You also get a chance to share in the opportunity. That's what the $39 is when you're doing the bid universe. I mean, becoming a bidfluencer, right? With the university, with Two Can Win University. And here is the thing. Once these auctions begin, guys, and they're about to begin November 4th, it's going to be the last of pre-launch. And so there's some nice opportunities available as far as pre-launch is concerned. You're going to have the opportunity to be a part of the bonus pool. Just get involved now, send out your link, tell your friends and your family, hey, just do it, right? Don't even get into the whole trying to explain it. Just do it and go to the presentation. Trust me, this is not something you want to miss out on, guys. You definitely want to be in the room where it happens. So that you get that, right? You also get the many opportunities through the program. And I have actually posted many of them in the room for you guys to take a look at. There's going to be a special bids for those that are in this moment, right? And so when they start off these bids or this auction, that's going to be private just for us. And that's a beautiful thing too. So you get an opportunity to make those purchases. So this is where we are, guys. This is your turn to win. It does feel eerily similar, but I know the process that God sends me through. It's because I decided to help you that He's blessing my family. My question is, if you want to bless your family, who have you decided to help? God bless you all. Have a safe, wonderful weekend. We'll see you on the other side.